Hey everyone, bloody thing here. There we go. Alright, so instead of playing music today, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to talk about Destiny. Um, I'm going to go over bad to good. So I'll go ahead and go with the good stuff first. It's got a decent storyline to it. When you're at lower levels between level 1 and 18, 19, obviously, and then you can continue leveling up through certain kinds of armor. For those of you who haven't even played it yet, sorry for the spoiler. Anyway, I will say this is honestly the best, one of the best shooter games I played, first person shooter games I played in a long time. But it could be a whole lot more, and I'm actually really hoping that the expansions, 1 and 2, when those come out in December, really expand up on the story, like what happens with the Fallen, the Cabal, the Hive, because it really focused on the Vex. The storyline is a little too short for my taste, which is sad. In a lot of games they see stories are becoming a little bit shorter for gaming. More and more people want the online play. But that actually brings me to my next thing here, the online. That is one thing I really don't like about the game, is it's entirely online centered. So you don't have to have, I don't know how it is with Xbox, but on PlayStation, you only need the PlayStation Plus for certain things. The strike missions, the player versus player, which is Crucible. Those are really the only things you need the PlayStation Plus for. It might be the same for Xbox. I don't know. I don't have an Xbox 360 anymore, and I'm not going to be buying an Xbox One, or at least not now. And then kind of going a little bit more on the Crucible, ranking up with the Vanguard, Dead Orbit, all that. One thing that really bugged me is when you get high enough level, you're limited to a certain amount per week as far as marks go, whether it's Vanguard, Crucible, Dead Orbit, whatever. You're limited to a certain amount, but your first rank for reputation is 1,500 reputation points. Rank 2 is 2,000 reputation points. So basically, if you played it for a week, or you already gotten all of your marks for the week, the stuff is used to buy legendary gear from your vendors, and those cost minimum 150 marks. For any good pieces of armor or weaponry, minimum. And you have to be rank 2 to buy them. For any of them, Crucible, again, all of them. I think that is really stupid, because that implies that I really like Bungie, but it just implies that they feel like you're going to be playing this game a lot. And when I say a lot, I'm thinking probably, 4 or 5 days straight per week. Getting a bottle so you don't have to use the restroom, I don't know. I really don't like that. I don't know, I find it easier to actually find legendary gear in drops. I've found a few pieces of legendary and one exotic, while playing it. One thing that has seriously annoyed me is the player versus player. That I really don't agree with the level advantages being disabled, because let's face it, it's pretty goddamn humiliating when you're killed by a character who's level 2. Alright, and to put an example, before I was doing this video, I was playing, and I came across this kid. His name was Jay-Z for Days. What a name. So original. Anyway, he was level 8. My main weapon does almost 300 damage, but it takes me just as long to kill him as it does to kill anybody else. So, in essence, getting all that legendary and exotic gear is only good for the story modes, the strike missions when you're doing it with teams, stuff like that. That's really all it's good for. But in the Crucible, it's all set to a flat standard, even though it doesn't flat out say it. It's lower. You can tell. It's basically rendering all your work to get those pieces of gear, the weapons, basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Vain. In vain. It's stupid. I really don't like that. I think it would have been better had they made it so, your level advantages are enabled, but you have separate mini servers for the lower level groups. The game, they have the technology where the game can actually track you live as far as your progress is concerned. Then when you decide to go player versus player, it will put you in groups of people of your level, whether they had the same gear or not. That, whatever. I think that it would have been better had they done that. I don't know, like, it was a good game overall, but it's not the best. But then again, hopefully, by the end of December with the new expansion packs, because it's a brand new game. They're still testing things out. They've pushed out the release date a couple times, I believe. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I don't know. It's. I would have to say it's also. It goes without saying, it's also a really pointless game to get if you don't have internet. Yeah. I don't know. There's things I like about it, and there's things I really don't like about it. And there's another thing that I think they should add, the vendors. I think you should be able to sell the equipment you're not going to use to them, because when you scrap it, you're getting, depending on the item, maybe 40 glimmer, if that. Again, it really depends on the item. And you should be able to buy your crafting materials. Simple as that. With the legendary gear, this is one thing that has really bothered me, is when you're leveling up your gear, when it comes to legendary and exotic, you have to, when you get to the last tiers for the upgrading of the armoring or the damage, it gives you a list of what is required. The glimmer, whether if it needs relic iron from Mars, spin metal, spring bloom, or spirit bloom, sorry, or helium. It'll let you know, but then it'll also say you need ascendant energy or ascendant shards. Maybe I just haven't been looking around hard enough, but where the hell do you find that? I've gotten them only in drops, and I've got not even a handful of these things. I find strange coins easier than I find ascendant energy or ascendant shards. It's stupid. So I do like that Bungie wanted to give players a new challenge, and the fact that it's going to be challenging to upgrade your armor. It's going to be challenging to get certain ranks, whether you're in Crucible, if that's what you're primarily focusing on, or all of them in general, whatever. I appreciate the extra challenge. However, it's almost too challenging because, let's be honest, who has the time to sit down all damn day, all damn night, to rank up like that, and then find out they have to wait a week or two before they can actually go and buy the fucking gear if they just want to buy it and be lazy? Then again, I guess you're not really being lazy because you're doing the work to try and buy the gear, but by the time you're able to buy the gear, you probably have already got the gear that you're looking for, or maybe found something even better. It's just stupid. Another thing they could have done, I wish it was a little bit more open world. For me, I like RPGs. That's just me. RPGs, games with longer storylines. The Last of Us was a damn good game. And for those of you who haven't played it, if you have PS3 or PS4, I do recommend buying it. It's good. If you want to run it through a couple times, I ran it through once on the PS3 and once on the PS4. The reason why I only did it once is it's a long storyline. It's the first game I've played in a long time that's actually had a decently or a storyline that's got a very good duration, not a storyline they can beat in a day or two. It took me a number of days to actually beat the game. That's what I like, because it keeps me going. But anyhow, despite those negatives, there's still the plus. I mean, you can play online with your friends, I guess. I don't know. I never really got that concept. I rarely play with my friends online, let's be honest. But yeah, if you're looking for a good shooter game, I definitely would recommend Destiny if you have internet. If you don't have internet, you have an Xbox 360 or something like that, get Halo. Call of Duty's old. I'm sorry, it's not a very good shooter game. I'm getting kind of around on this right now, is that they wanted, after is that the first or second Black Ops, the companies were trying to say that they're trying to make it more realistic. I nitpicked that entire game, and I cannot stand any other I can't stand Call of Duty. Can't stand it. It has nothing to do with the online play directly. Actually, no, I take that back, it does. How in the hell do Treyarch and Activision does a flak jacket protect a person, save their life, when they trip a claymore or they happen to walk right next to a live grenade? That flak jacket may protect their torso from the shrapnel, but the shockwave alone from being that close is going to kill you. No, hands down, it's going to fucking kill you. That is something that I played the beta and the alpha for Ghosts. And I was kind of hoping they would fix that. And I gave them that feedback because they were asking for feedback. Like, this is stupid. This is the one thing I was kind of hoping you would fix, is because it's not realistic. You guys are trying to make a more realistic game. If you want to make it realistic, actually put real-world applications into the game. If you're at such a distance from the grenade, it's going to kill you, whether it's the shockwave or the shrapnel. Or if you're just being burned to death, depending on what the device is, or whatever. Yeah, back to Destiny. People say, oh, you get hit by the Nova Bomb all the time. That thing's not realistic. Well, it's not supposed to be realistic. It's a sci-fi game. It's fantasy. I actually played with a kid who was being an absolute dick in the Crucible. We were doing Capture the Flag, or whatever it's called. He was on my team, or at least on my fire team. I invited him on the fire team since he happened to have a mic. Yeah, no. No. I'm not gonna ever do that again. This kid's just an absolute retard. Comparing this game to real life applications, let me tell you something, son. How can you compare a fantasy-based game to real life? You really can't. You really can't. I mean, there are some aspects. I mean, the whole space exploration, I think that's really cool. I wish they would have expanded on that. And for the PlayStation users, you have the map. What was the map? The Exodus map, which is actually on Mercury. I'm hoping with the new expansions we actually get to do missions on Mercury, because that map had looked cool. It really did. I've only been able to play on it once. Beyond that, it's always been Earth or Mars, occasionally Venus. Um, yeah, it's still definitely in the works. I'm getting that kind of feel. It still feels like it almost feels like a beta, but a little bit more difficult. Enemies seem to be a bit harder to kill than it was in the beta. But yeah, it's a good storyline. It did have a few holes. You know, it's kind of hard to follow, but you know, if anyone can think of anything else that's positive about the game, you know, feel free to comment. And you know, any advice? Whatever. This is my first honest game review, just because there hasn't been a game I really cared about too much to do a review. And the only reason I did it for Destiny is because of how excited I was for it to come out when they announced it. You know, and as you can see, I got the poster. Yeah. So beyond that, you know, I won't be doing too many more game reviews just because I'm not as into that as a lot of people are. I like to game casual. I'm not a hardcore gamer. And I'm gonna come out right now that I'm not gonna hate on you or anything like that if you're referencing to Xbox One or PS4 or even Nintendo Wii. Everyone has their preferences. I have very specific reasons to why I won't buy the Xbox One, and it primarily has to do with user friendliness of the console and the fact that it was a half-assed console. You know, it was only worked for a couple of years before it was released. It was over-ambitious by the company, rushing something out that wasn't complete. Then again, being Microsoft, I mean, Android phones like the one I'm recording with right now, being Android, since when is it ever going to be complete? You know, you have to have updates for this, and that. But anyway, enough of that. Again, if anyone has any comments or concerns, feel free to give me feedback, constructive or positive. I really don't care. You know, anything helps. Again, you probably won't see me do another game review until maybe Bloodborne when that comes out, or even Witcher 3. But yeah, and feel free to check out my other videos. They are music. Three of them are covers from other bands. And yeah.